So guys, how would you like to hear a story involving video games? Good, because I have a good one. Well, depends on who you are. It might be a bad one, but it's a pretty interesting, crazy coincidence, and however, a frustrating story. So sit back and enjoy me suffering in the memory of what I like to call the curse game. So, this isn't a creepypasta for anyone wondering. This is just a random story. An interesting one, I thought. So, a few years ago, back when the PlayStation 3 first launched, it had a fair good amount of games. A couple of which that I first got was Assassin's Creed, obviously, and Metal Gear Solid 4. I had never played a Metal Gear Solid game. I knew nothing about the series. I just knew that this game was probably going to be good. So, before I even remotely started playing the game, I decided to finally play through the main series, being that of the first one for PlayStation 1, the second one, and then the third one. And then I played through the fourth one, and I found myself enjoying it way more than I thought I would. It was like, the third one was like the best one, I thought, but the fourth one was so fun because it made so much connections from all the different games and everything like that. But as I kept playing Metal Gear Solid 4, I played through the first time, and then I played through it again on a harder difficulty, and then I looked into it, and I was like, there's a lot of medals, I've noticed. A lot of emblems, And people who have played Metal Gear Solid, you know this already, but for those that don't, in Metal Gear Solid 2, I think is the one that started it. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was the second one that started it, and then the third one carried over it, and the fourth one carried over that. Where basically you get emblems based on how you play. It depends on how well you play, depends on how stealthy you are, how many kills you've gotten, how many CQC you've done, how many rations you've ate. It's a number of variety, It depends on what you do, depends on the emblem you will get. And while I wasn't interested in doing it for the second one or the third one, the fourth one I really enjoyed it a lot, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's try to 100% complete Metal Gear Solid 4. So yes, I did it all, okay? We're talking like the whole shebang, okay? This includes from the most easiest and the most stupidest emblem, being that of the chicken emblem, which if you don't know what the chicken emblem is, it's where you have to die constantly, you have to kill, like, more people than you should, you have to consume more than like 35 rations, I think, not quite sure, and you had to have played one single story campaign for over 35 hours. We're talking like some stupid requirements. Actually, I've got the strategy guide. I can look that up. Give me just a sec. Okay, yeah, here we go. It says here, joke type difficulty 2 out of 10. Numbers of alert phases greater than 150. Number of kills greater than 500. Number of continues 50. Game time 35 hours. And numbers of use of life restoration item, being that of rations and whatever else, greater than 50. That's how they have it labeled here. So, yeah, you see it. You can see it right there. That's ridiculous. And of course, they have different other emblems. Like they've got the panther, they got the leopard, the puma, ant, rabbit, hound, mantis, octopus, so on and so forth. But the biggest emblem, the number one emblem, is that of the big boss emblem. Want to know the requirements on this one? Because guess what? This is the hardest one of them all. So, type, elite, obviously. Difficulty, 10 out of 10. Number of alert phases, 0. Number of kills, 0. Number of continues, 0. Game time, less than 5 hours. Number of rations, regains, noodles use, 0. No use of stealth camouflage or the bandana, the boss extreme. In other words, you cannot use any cheat codes at all. The game will recognize them. And you cannot heal yourself. You cannot be spotted. And you cannot die. That is an impossible thing. Supposedly. Because guess what? I actually did that. I actually did that. Number of times, actually. You know, I did that a number of times. Now you're probably asking yourself, wait, you did the Big Boss emblem a number of times? What would possess you to do that? Why would you murder yourself just to pull that shit off? I will tell you why. I'll tell you why, because there's actually an interesting story that goes about it. So, I decided to go for every emblem in the game. Every emblem, okay? Every freaking emblem. And I did it. I did it once. And by the time I got the stupid emblem, the chicken emblem, this was shortly after I'd beaten and gotten the Big Boss emblem. I went for the chicken emblem and stuff like that. You know, you had to kill so many enemies. You had to eat a lot of rations. In other words, you had to have a number of playthroughs just to have the stock up items and stuff, okay? So naturally, you had to stay in the first chapter, kill a whole bunch of soldiers, stay in a locker for more than 30 hours, and yeah, so on and so forth. The list goes on. There's easy ways of getting this trophy. It's not that hard. You can easily earn it like within the first chapter. So anyway, after I earned it that, a couple of days later, something happened to my PlayStation 3. Something horrible. The system crashed. It took, at the time, probably more than 10 game saves that I had currently at the time. It took all of my progression, including proof that I completed Metal Gear Solid 4 and attained it all of the emblems, including the Big Boss emblem. Oh my gosh! Right? So, that's what happened in the first case. So I decided to go grab a second PlayStation 3. Okay? Decided to grab a second one. So, what happened then? About a year later, I decide, you know what? I want to go after Big Boss emblem again. Actually, I don't even think it was a year. I think it was like 6 months or something. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I want to get proof that I did beat Big Boss emblem. I want to do it again. So I did it again. I don't remember if it took me longer or less so during that. For those that were asking, it was refurbished. The second one was refurbished. So, technically the first one was like the 80 gig, I think it was the 80 gig model, because technically it had the ability to play PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. So, it was one of the original ones. So I had the refurbished ones, which was the slim one, which means that it doesn't have the backwards compatibility emulator in the system anymore. So anyway, it was refurbished. So anyway, point is, I decided to go for the Big Boss emblem again. So I did it, rightfully so. I got the Big Boss emblem for a second time. And guess what happened? About a month later, PlayStation 3 crashed again. Yeah. I hated the PlayStation 3 at that point. I hated it. So I was like, dear freaking God, what the fuck? So I decided that I had to get a new PlayStation 3 instead of getting a refurbished one. So this was whenever I gotten the 160 gig slim one that I got before this one I'll explain that story in just a sec. So I got a third one. Now, I had heard rumors that they were going to implement trophies for Metal Gear Solid 4. And the funny thing was that at the time that Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, it never had trophies. It was one of the first games that came out, so it never had the trophy installment in it. And when they were telling the announcement that it will be getting an update to have trophies in the game, people were like, oh cool, it will have trophies and stuff. And at the time, I was still like a trophy hog, a completionist, so on and so forth, and I was like, so I have to complete Metal Gear Solid 4 again. So I decided to do it again. Now, of course, the way the trophy works, technically there is a trophy where it only states to get the infinite ammo bandana and the stealth camo. You do not have to technically beat Big Boss Emblem just to get those two. You can technically purchase them by stocking up weapons and stuff and having it auto credit itself, and you can purchase them after you beat the game once on any difficulty, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So in other words, you don't technically have to beat Big Boss Emblem just to get those two items. But that didn't stop me from trying. So you can imagine what happened next. A lot of you are going to be asking, did you beat the Big Boss Emblem and got the trophies? No, sadly not. People go, well, why? What happened? Because on the final chapter, while I was booting up the game, my PlayStation 3, yes, crashed again. What? A third time's a freaking charm, huh? I was so aggravated. I was like, no, I was so close. It was like, even if I did beat it, at least I would have the trophy to prove it. Even though some people would think I hacked it, I still have a friend who thinks I hacked freaking Fallout 3. I don't know anything about hacking the trophy, so forget that. So, at any rate, though, yeah, I almost had it. But on the final chapter, when I started booting it up to start that final chapter, the system crashed. It's gone forever. You have no idea what I had to go through during that point. Because I was like, no! So I had to go and purchase yet another PlayStation 3. And I told myself, I vow never to complete Metal Gear Solid 4 again. Or at least to complete it, rather. So, yeah, that was the cursed game. Metal Gear Solid 4. I love the game still. It is still one of my personal favorite shooter games. But, in terms of trying to complete the damn thing, I don't risk it. I don't even risk attempting Big Boss Emblem, for that matter. Will the curse eventually break? Who's to say, really? Because, quite frankly, I haven't even bothered picking up the PS4 version that they had released some time ago in order to see if it might help. The only reason I haven't done that is because I'm afraid that it's going to crash the PlayStation 4! And it's the original PlayStation 4 that I've had since I first bought it over 4 years ago. Yeah, so you can kind of tell at this point in time that I don't want to do that. I don't want to harm my first and only PlayStation 4 just to see if it might break the curse. But chances are it might carry over. So yeah, that's the story. That's the story of the curse game, Metal Gear Solid 4. So yeah, Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever had a situation like this where there's a game that every single time you play it, something bad happens? I hope not, because in my case, this is the least bad happen that can happen. But I want to hear. I want to hear what games have you had that shit just happens. You know, it'd be interesting. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little story. I will try to get more small stories out eventually, but for the time being right now, this will do for you. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Catch you guys later.